I got a question for you, YouTube. Did you know it was possible to get an Ethernet connection between two devices by simply using your house? You didn't know that? Well, watch this video and find out how it's possible. Alright guys, we're going to start this video off by introducing you to the devices that make all of this possible. They're called power line adapters, and the ones that I use are manufactured by a company called TP-Link. So I'm going to be telling you guys about these adapters and how they work, but let's kind of go into a little basic things first. So the reason why you may want to purchase these adapters is because you require an Ethernet connection. Now, certain things like online gaming, voice calls, live video streaming, they do better when you have an Ethernet connection compared to when you have a wireless connection. So it's not to say that you can't do online gaming or make voice calls with a wireless connection. It's just that if you use an Ethernet connection, you'll see you have better performance, especially with online gaming. I see it all the time where I connect over wireless, and let's just say I'm trying to download an update from Call of Duty. It could take almost 8 hours for that update to happen, but then I connect over Ethernet and all of a sudden an 8-hour update only takes 30 minutes. Or sometimes I'll connect over Wi-Fi when I'm playing online gaming with Call of Duty, and I start seeing my game start to lag, and all of a sudden my character starts freezing, and then when the game comes back, I'm dead. Once I started connecting over Ethernet, all of that went away. So anytime you're doing like online gaming, live video streaming, making voice calls, then you're going to want to use an Ethernet connection because it'll give you better performance than connecting over Wi-Fi. Now, you can run into some issues when you're needing Ethernet, mainly one of them being the cable could be visible, and this depends on how far apart the devices are. So with my PlayStation, it's currently upstairs in our guest room because I don't have my basement done right now, so I'm kind of using our guest room as my video game room. Now, I could easily just bring my PlayStation downstairs right by my router, but I don't want my PlayStation downstairs, okay, mainly because my son be down here watching the TV, my wife be watching the TV, and sometimes I just want to be able to play my game. I don't necessarily want to have to compete with everybody when I'm trying to play my game and they're watching TV. I'd rather just let them watch TV and I play my game upstairs. So bringing my PlayStation downstairs isn't an option. So that means I will have to run a cable from upstairs to downstairs, and my wife is not going to allow me to do that because that's just tacky, having this long cable running all throughout your house. So depending upon how far apart your device is from your router, if you try to run a long cable, you are going to have cable that's visible. Okay, you can have kids trip over it if you have kids in your house, and like I said, it's just tacky, just having this cable, randomly running throughout your house. Now, if you instead opt to go with the cable, right, then you may have to pay somebody to come out there and hide the cable, right? So my wife has an office upstairs where she works from, and she needed an Ethernet connection. She didn't want to have to connect over Wi-Fi, and at the time I didn't have these adapters, so we had to have AT&T come out here and run a cable from her office upstairs to connect to the router downstairs, and they charged us $200 in order to do that. So these are some issues that you're going to probably run into if you're trying to connect over Ethernet, depending upon how far apart the device is from your router, which makes it smart to go out and purchase these adapters. Now, when you purchase these adapters, they're only like $40. You can get it from Amazon, Office Depot. I got mine from, I want to say, Micro Center. You can purchase them from Fry's. So any technology store is probably going to have these. And like I said, they're only like $40. Now, when you're going to purchase them, it's going to come with two adapters, and they're going to look exactly like what you see on your screen here. All right, so let me kind of show you how these guys work. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the adapter and you're going to plug them into wall outlets, like how you kind of see right here. Now, the idea is to plug these into an outlet that's by your router. So one is going to go by your router. The other one is going to go by the device you're trying to connect to. So I have one downstairs that's by my router. Then I have one upstairs in the guest room where my PlayStation is. So all you're going to do is take these adapters and you're going to plug them into your wall outlet. Now, step number 2 is you're going to go get you an Ethernet cable like this guy right here. And you're going to connect the adapter to your router. And then you're going to connect the other adapter to whatever device you're trying to connect to. So in my example, I would connect the adapter going to my PlayStation. And how it's going to work is you're going to notice that this adapter has a port right here. Okay, we call this an RJ45 port. Now your router, which happens to be right here, he's going to also have RJ45 ports. It's these Ethernet ports that you see right here. And you're going to notice that your router has 4 of them. So as long as you have an open port, you can then take your Ethernet cable, plug this in to the adapter, and then you plug this in to your router. Okay, that's going to be that step. And then what you have to do is do the same thing with the other adapter. So I would have to take an Ethernet cable, go upstairs, and then do the same thing with my PlayStation. I would connect one end to the adapter. Okay, it's going to also have an RJ45 port, and then my PlayStation is going to have an RJ45 port. So just like I connected this end right here to my router's RJ45 port, I do the same thing with my PlayStation. Okay. Now, once you have everything connected, so you have the adapters plugged into the wall outlet, you have your cable going to your router, and then you have another cable going to your PlayStation or whatever device you're trying to connect. What you're going to do is you're going to go to each device and you're going to push this little button right here, okay, that says pair. And what you're trying to do is pair the 2 adapters together. Okay, and once they're paired, now you're going to have a connection between whatever 2 devices are plugged into the adapter. So the adapter that's upstairs and the one that's downstairs, once they pair, my PlayStation is going to have an Ethernet connection to my router. Okay, I didn't have to install any long cabling that's visible, right? Just to give, my wife a reason to be angry at me, because I don't want my wife to be angry at me. I love my wife, and a happy wife is a happy life, right? So let's not do anything to make our wives upset. Let's not run some 50-foot long cable, randomly throughout the house just so we can play Call of Duty online, right? So I went out and got me these adapters. Now they're paired. Now my PlayStation has an Ethernet connection, and I didn't have to pay anybody to come hide the cable, right? Only had to pay $40 and got these 2 adapters. Now, how it's possible is this. Okay, if we wanted to just simply connect our PlayStation to our router with one simple cable, then we would just go get an Ethernet cable like this, and then this end would plug into the Ethernet port or the RJ45 port on my PS4 right here, and then this end would plug into one of the RJ45 ports on my router. Now what happens is, once you connect the 2 devices together with this Ethernet cable, Ethernet uses electrical signals. So it's 2 types of cabling that we can use to cable devices in a network. We can use fiber. Okay, fiber uses light, and then Ethernet, or copper is what we call it too, uses electric signals. Okay, so what happens is I take this Ethernet cable, I connect it to my PS4, I connect this into my router, and they start transmitting electrical signals. And once my PS4 gets this electrical signal, it's going to know that there's a device connected on the other end of this cable, which happens to be my router. And once my router gets an electrical signal, it's going to know that there's a device on the other end, which happens to be my PS4. Okay, now my PS4 is connected to my router. He can connect to my home network, and now I can do my online gaming. So the same thing is true using our house, because our house is filled with cabling that allows us to get electricity all throughout our house. That's how we're able to power on our lights. That's how we're able to power on our appliances, our TVs, everything that plugs into a wall outlet, because we have these cables that are just running throughout our house, and we can use those cables in order to connect our devices together. So I can use the wiring throughout my house to connect my PS4 down to my router. Okay, how it's going to work is when you plug this adapter into your outlet, like how you see right here, and then you run a cable from the adapter to the PS4 is then going to start sending these electric signals, right? And it's going to come to this adapter. Now, once you pair this adapter with this adapter, all it's going to do is use the wiring that's in your house to transmit that signal all the way over to this adapter. And then once he gets it, there's another cable from this adapter that's plugged into your router. All he's going to do is take that signal and then start sending it to your router. And the same thing in the reverse direction. Your router is going to send a signal down to this adapter. It's going to get transmitted all the way over to this adapter, and then it ends up at your PlayStation. Okay, all of this is possible because we're utilizing the wiring that's in our house, because Ethernet uses electric signal. So that signal can pass all throughout the wiring in your house. So you no longer have to have this random cable running through your house when you're trying to connect two devices that are far apart, right? Like my PlayStation and my router, and I don't have to hire somebody to come hide the cable. Like another situation, I got a server that's downstairs in my basement that I use, and I wanted my server to be able to connect to my home network. It doesn't have a wireless card, so it couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi. So I would have needed to run a cable from my basement up to my router. Again, I don't want to have this long visible cable that's running throughout my house, right? Because my son can trip over it, he can break it, a lot of bad things can happen, and I don't want to have to pay somebody to come out here and hide the cable. So that's when I just go out, purchase one of these adapters. I have the one that's over by the router, and then I got one downstairs that's for my server. Or typically what I would do is, if I'm not doing online gaming on Call of Duty, I just unplug it from upstairs and I take it downstairs so my server can connect. So I would highly recommend you going out and purchasing these adapters if you require an Ethernet connection and you don't want to have to run some long cable between, whatever device you're trying to connect in your router, and you don't want to have to pay somebody to come out there and hide the cable. Just get these adapters. You're going to plug them into your outlet. You're then going to connect cables from these adapters to whatever devices you're trying to connect, pair the adapters together, and then use the existing wiring in your house in order to get that Ethernet connection. Now, if you found this video helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comment section what other topics you guys would like for me to go over. Remember, I made this YouTube channel for you guys because I've been doing network engineering for about 8 years now, and I want to help you guys experience the same level of success that I have. So if there's anything that you would like for me to discuss, let me know in the comment section, and I got you. Till then, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.